So the guy staggers to his feet and goes back to the girl, right? Well, she smiles, looks him straight in the eye and says, "Just try that in hyperspace."
I see. So the difficulty in attaining such complex positioning in zero-gravity environment, coupled with the adverse effects it would have on the psychological well-being of the average human male, is what makes this anecdote so amusing. Yes. Very humorous indeed. Hysterical, in fact.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Fully Functional, a TNG podcast. I'm Maggie, joined by Jeff and Dory.
Yo.
Today we're discussing a real trip of an episode. Just to review, Jeff and I are Star Trek nerds. Dory's a Star Trek novice. We're taking a journey through Star Trek The Next Generation. Today's episode is called Conspiracy, and the original air date is May 7th, 1988. Dory, you're dying to process this, so let's get into the recap.
Bake it away, toys.
This episode broke me. I went through every emotion. Oh my god. Okay. Oh god. Okay. We start. It's gonna be. I just want to scream. Okay. No. Focus. Okay. All right. So the team, they're supposed to be heading to Pacifica for a science trip, but it's also just supposed to be like lulz, fun, a good time. But there's like a code 40.
And that very much does not happen.
Yeah.
Wow, spoilers.
So the ship gets code 47, which is for captain's eyes only. Picard happens to be wearing a deep V in his bed at the time. So
those pajamas look really comfortable, actually.
They do. And they beam the message to him, and it's Picard's old friend, Walker Keel. And he's like, I can't tell you anything, but I need you to meet me at this planet, Ditalix B. Like, now. I'm not saying anything else. Don't say anything. Don't write anything down. Don't say, just, you gotta meet me. So they go to the planet. Picard beams down, and Walker is there with two other captains from other ships. One is Captain Ricks, and the other one is Captain Scott. And Walker is like, okay, this is a very secret meeting. Oh yeah, he also like tests Picard to like make sure it's really him, because apparently there's like some sketchy shit going on with like the higher ups in Starfleet. There's some real questionable shit going on where like memory is involved, and it's just a whole lot of vague warnings, I guess.
Something's going nutty, but no one's saying what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just know something weird's going on.
Yeah, so Picard goes back to the ship, and he's like, I don't know, right after he actually goes to the ship, they're like, all right, I guess we're going to head on to Pacifica. But then like, they're like, oh, there's something in section 63, I think. And they, go over there and see what it is. And Captain Walker was the captain of a ship called the Horatio, and the Horatio has exploded and everybody has died. So Picard is like, well, fuck. So, we also learned that Walker introduced Beverly to Jack Crusher, so that was a random fact in there. Okay. Mm-hmm. So meanwhile, Picard gives Data the job of doing research to see if there's any like sketchy shit being done for the last like 6 months in Starfleet, and Data has like a really weird moment with a computer. Then Picard is telling Riker stuff, and a whole time so Picard's like saying like there's some kind of like not a coup but some shit's going down, and the whole time I was like, Picard, why don't you tell Riker? You had this fucking conversation with Admiral Quinn like a little while ago that there was some sketchy shit, because Riker's like, I don't know, but it's like, you literally had this conversation. Why didn't you just tell him that? But anyways, Picard decides the best course of action, in which in my opinion was a bad course of action. I mean, but I'm not the captain of the Enterprise, so my opinion doesn't matter.
You're not.
So I know, what a shocker. So Picard's like, we're going to go confront the admirals on Earth. So they go to Earth and we meet Admiral Savar, Admiral Aaron, and we get to see Quinn again. And of course, that piece of shit Dexter is back. Or everybody calls him Remick,
yes, Dexter.
but I only call him Dexter because he's a piece of shit. The second he saw him, I'm like, you are the Wormtail of Star Trek.
Yeah. Well, he is full of bugs.
I mean, spoilers.
Yeah.
but like in it, like a Harry Potter reference, it's just this like rat man. Ugh. Anyways. Oh, by the way, did not see it coming that Starfleet's headquarters was in San Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
What a nice, I mean, it's nice. I just did not think of all places that's where it would be. Party.
That's fair.
Yeah. I think they chose San Francisco because it's like, San Francisco is seen as like a very progressive city and stuff like that.
Oh, that's nice. Okay,
Yeah.
I like that. So Picard and Riker are invited to dinner, but Quinn wants to come on the ship for reasons. But we know something's up with Quinn because he opens his creepy little box and there's a pink worm bug thing in it. And it's like, ugh, this is just not going to go well. So he beams up and then he gets into a whole thing with Riker. Quinn wants to see Dr. C. And Riker is like, or I could look at it. No, sorry, I'm getting it mixed up. Quinn is like, you should see the bug. And Riker's like, or I could get the science guy. And then Quinn's like, or I could grab your arm really aggressively. And he's like, it doesn't want the science person. It wants you. And I was like, oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
So then like a fight ensues and Riker gets really knocked around. He gets thrown around the room. Oh, Quinn like kicks him in the face, does this like windmill kick that's like very for like a man of Quinn's age, like go for, I mean, you go girl, that you can do that.
And then Riker windmill kicks him back like 2 times.
Yeah. Do you know what's funny? I actually for a second had to, I rewound that part like twice because I couldn't tell if Riker was kicking him with one foot or if he was like literally doing like kicking him in the face with both his feet. I really wasn't sure. And then eventually he knocks out Riker by throwing him through a table with glass. So then like Worf and Geordi come in and Geordi gets like smashed through doors really quickly. And then Quinn calls out Worf to be like, we're going to fight. So Worf like drops like Riker back into the glass.
Yeah,
I guess.
I noticed that
and then
too.
goes to fight Quinn. And Quinn is like destroying Worf. I mean, Worf does a good effort, but the person who takes down Quinn is none other than the Queen, Dr. Beverly Crusher.
Yeah.
And yeah, she just takes him down with a phaser. Yeah, so they like inspect him and learn there's like this gross ass thing in his head where it's like tentacles touch your like adrenal gland. And it like a little like, she calls it a gill, sticks out the back of your neck. It's so fucking gross, truly. When they showed it, I was like, oh, no.
It's a tail.
I hate it. It's so gross. But yeah, so it turns out, so then we go back to Earth and Picard is like, this is real sketchy. He speaks to Crusher because Riker's supposed to come down and he's like clued in on what happened on the ship. So he goes in to have dinner and he opens his like bowl goblet thing and there's a bunch of mealworms. And he's like real repulsed because I mean, yeah, that seems like an appropriate response. But then Admiral Aaron and Admiral Savar and some random dude who we're not introduced to him at any point. He's just sitting beside Savar for no reason. He's just sitting there eating. They're all just chowing down on their disgusting mealworms. And then Picard just like stands up and just like walks away. Tries to get out of the room.
Yeah, he's like slowly trying to back out of the room.
Yeah, but it's true. Like, I don't know if he was trying to be subtle, but it was not. But then Riker comes in and he's like, oh no, go sit down. And Picard's like, oh no, they got Riker. And so they like talk that they're like a race, but it's not important who or where they are though. Like, it's not important of what they're doing or anything.
Their intentions aren't important, apparently.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who they are, but they do love theater. Oh yeah, so then Riker decides to he's gonna eat some of the mealworms, takes like the grossest big handful and is like holding it over his face to eat it like only a sociopath would eat it like that. To like drop food in from above. Truly, some of the choices Riker makes, they're so bizarre, but I fucking love it. Like, what a weird... Anyways, Riker then pulls out his phaser and starts like shooting at everybody. Riker is pretend being controlled by the parasite. He's really just regular Riker. And they get everybody in the room. Except for Aaron, because he runs out. They run after they get Aaron, and then they find Dexter. I will never recover from what I saw in that room. They go into the room. Dexter's playing with some screen and squares. He turns around. He's sitting on this funky ass huge chair. And then the little pink alien that came out of Aaron is like, also, it looked like stop motion watching this alien, the little bug alien movie.
It was stop motion.
Yeah.
They could have, honestly, as someone who taught stop motion many years ago for quite a few years, I feel like could do it better. Honestly, like, it was very jumpy. They could have made it smoother. There are ways to do it, and if I know how to do it, that's really sad if they didn't do it, because stop motion is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, they also only have a week to make the episode, so there's that.
I mean, anyways. Hey, I used to make stop motion videos in like only a few hours when I taught it.
Yeah, but did you make a 45-minute episode around it?
No, but the actual sequence is not very long.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, I mean, it didn't look great, but it didn't look the worst. I have seen worse stop motion. But so it like climbs up Dexter to his shoulder, and then Dexter opens his mouth and lets it go in his mouth, and then he closes his mouth, and then his neck starts to like bulge, and
it swells
back and forth. It was truly awful. And then this was like truly so upsetting. I mean, I didn't like Dexter, but I really didn't want to see his head being blown off like that. It was kind of reminded me of like Raiders of the Lost Ark style, where like it's the layers.
Yeah, because you see his like melted face for a second.
Yeah, it's really quick, but it makes an impression. So Picard and Riker have their phasers. They set it on Dexter. His head explodes. And then you see his gross, stubby, gross neck, though, in the shot still. And then his stomach opens. I swear to God, I gagged. I fully gagged. And I had to put my hand in front of my face.
Nice.
His stomach gapes open completely, and this alien glob, like, I don't even know how to describe it, comes up and is like, ah!
It's like a skeleton worm.
It was so awful. And then they kill it, and it's just like the gross, like a pile of carcass body parts. And then they go back to the ship, and I was like, how does one just like carry on after seeing that? I wasn't even there. I watched it in the episode, and this is an image that's gonna stick with me.
Yeah,
for a long time, and I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, this episode is a straight up horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
with like 80s gore effects and everything.
The only thing I was missing is like the alien didn't go in its ear.
Yeah,
because that's how so many times I always see the alien, like the little thing that's going to control the person, goes in through the ear.
Oh, that's Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so they go back to the Enterprise, and turns out when the big globby thing, the mother inside of Dexter's body died, all the other things, the little guys died, so like nobody's under control anymore. But
How coincidental.
Dexter did send out a homing beacon from Earth. So there's like possibly stuff coming towards Earth now. And the episode ends with like the creepiest little beeping. Like looking into space and just beeping. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was a well done episode. I'm just like traumatized from that last scene.
Yeah, I gotta say, this is probably my favorite episode of the first season. I love it.
It's really well done.
Yeah. And I'm someone who loves horror movies, and I love those like gory effects, so it's not like as traumatizing to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's
So
so
I'm
fucking
very
cool.
I have a really weak stomach, and I'm not good with like horror movies. So
yeah.
like it's
Yeah, when the fucking worm thing comes out, I like every time. I've seen this episode a lot, and I've seen like other movies and stuff that have the same kind of thing happening, but every time I see that scene, I'm like, this is so fucking cool.
it also looked so legit. Like it looked real, and like ripped to Dexter. Oh no, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
Oh god.
I forget that they just explode his head. Like they just it literally gets blown off.
Yes, he's dead. There is no question about it.
It's also what the two people fully died in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though we met Walker for like 5 seconds at the beginning, when they were like, the Horatio is blown up, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh shit. What?
Blowing up a Starfleet ship like that, like as a plot device, is actually like pretty significant at this point in the series, because like the stakes are clearly so high, and we've seen so few Starfleet ships, so we don't have a very good idea of how big Starfleet actually is at this point in time. Back in the original series, it's implied that like all of Starfleet is like, I don't know, maybe 50 ships or something like that. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what the implication is here.
Well, rip to the Horatio.
Yep.
Yeah. Because they explain in the episode that stun doesn't really do anything, so they have to set their phasers to kill. So they killed like a bunch of admirals.
Yep.
And that guy.
Hey, if you ever want to get mad at authority, this is the episode to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know how to like. I think I'm just so. I was so caught off guard by like the. It's not necessarily violence, but it's just like.
No, it is. It's definitely violence.
Okay, of just the way that Dexter died. It's.
And then they like linger on his corpse afterwards.
Yes, which is
like
literally burning.
Yeah, with his like headless, like gutted body. With like all these dead like worm alien things on him.
It's, maybe this. I like true crime, so I watch a lot of like true crime documentaries and shit. And they talk about sometimes bodies get really terribly mutilated and it's awful, but you never see what it looks like. Mm-hmm. You hear people describe it like this piece of the body was like torn apart and blah blah blah, and you can hear about it, and I'm like, ooh, bummer. But then like seeing a body be just destroyed like that is a whole.
There's this interesting thing of like, I mean, obviously both the genres of like horror and true crime have fans that are of any gender. But it seems to be that typically true crime leans very heavily towards women. Like, not intentionally, but that seems to be like the biggest audience is women. And horror tends to have like the bigger audience tends to be men. Or at least societally perceived that way.
I didn't know about the horror that it's more men. I do true crime 100%. Yeah, it's way like women are definitely
well, I think
into it.
Yeah, the horror thing I think is more of a perception than reality.
Okay.
Because I think it's perceived as a very like male dominated genre. And there's always this joke about how, like, there's a lot of women who can't handle horror movies or who don't like them or whatever, but are, like, real deep into true crime.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I just watched the Night Stalker documentary.
I always find that interesting, how some people can be perfectly fine, like, hearing about a serial killer that, like, you know, mutilated all the bodies and that stuff, but, like, are squeamish about, like, an exploding head in a movie.
I think it's because, for me personally, it's a visual thing. So, like, in a horror movie, you're watching it happen in live, like, in real time, of somebody's, like, neck being, like, throat being slashed or whatever. And, like, it's the anxiety. Like, I can't, horror movies stress me out. I have seen a handful in theaters, and I have screamed out loud in theaters. I do scream like I'm about to be murdered, though. Yeah. So it's probably pretty alarming. But I think with true crime, like, I'm there, I like the mystery aspect. I like the different pieces putting together to find the dirtbag that did this. That's why, like, I don't love unsolved crimes and stuff. I don't gravitate to that.
Yeah.
Except for the John Bonet case. But, like, other than that, I like justice, and I liked if somebody's done stuff to these people. I don't know. In a weird way, like, I feel like when I listen to a couple of true crime podcasts, and to me it's almost a way of, like, keeping because a lot of these, they talk about the victims, and for me it's not like, oh yeah, let's, like, raise up the murderer, because even though the murderers who people are more familiar with, like, off the top of my head, I can't name a single one of Ted Bundy's victims, but we know the name Ted Bundy. But it's sort of a way to, like, I don't know, keep the memory of these people, like the victims, alive, just showing that, like, they're not forgotten just because somebody took away their autonomy. I don't know if that's the right word, but I don't know.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so true crime to me, it's just... Plus, it's also, they're telling you already what happened.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have watched, like, true crime, like, fiction style show, like something like Mindhunter, but I don't know. You know what? I do like those kind of shows, though, too.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something just, like, you know, by the time of, like, something, it's going to be solved.
Yeah.
But in a horror movie, that's not necessarily how it goes.
Yeah.
It's just everybody's going to fucking die.
Yeah.
In a true crime, there's usually some kind of, for the most part, a satisfying conclusion that there will be some kind of justice. And I mean, I'm only speaking for myself. I don't know what other true crime fans feel the same way.
And I didn't
but
mean
that's
that in
how I do it.
I didn't mean that in a disparaging way.
Oh, no, not at all. No.
I just wanted to make that clear, because like, I also love true crime. I love true crime, but I was just always fascinated by the disconnect that's there, that people can have a fascination of horrific events in one capacity, but not in this other capacity, which is fictional.
Yeah, I feel there's something about, like, horror movies that just seem like almost, like, because you're seeing it happen, it just seems like a little too, like, I'm a very visual person, so it's just, you're seeing it all. And whereas for, like, a true crime docuseries, which is what I prefer, you'll just see, like, pictures they made, like, of crime scenes sometimes, or evidence. I don't know. I think it sort of gives you something else to think about versus, like,
you're not
in a horror movie. You're just focused on, oh shit, that, like, when is, especially jump scares. I can't with jump scares.
Yeah, it's like you're not directly confronted with what it actually looks like.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because they would never in a million years, like, show you the actual crime scene photos and shit.
Oh well, okay. There's a docuseries called The Staircase. They do show, like, the photos of the crime scene, which takes place literally on a stair. But
that's after the body's removed, right? Like, it's like the aftermath?
No, she's in. No, she's in there. But I think there's something
that's
about,
messed up.
Yeah, I've seen, like, too many crime scene photos. But then also, I think there's something about it also that there is a bit of a disconnect because you're not seeing the murder happen. So like they're, like, literally after watching the Staircase docuseries, a friend of mine and we were at another friend's house, and we were standing at her staircase because it was a similar shape as the staircase in the docuseries, and we were trying to, like, not reenact it, but, like, we were, like, posing and trying to figure out, like, how could that work. And I mean, we looked absolutely fucking crazy, and my other friend was like, "Are you guys done?" Like, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's just the anxiety in a horror movie that it's just violence with no
Relief?
yeah, maybe. I don't know. I find like stuff with horror movies will stick with me longer than true crime stuff. I don't know. That just might be my own thing of it. People may completely 100% disagree with me, and that's okay. I can only speak for my feelings of it, but yeah. Anyways.
Jeff, do you have any comments?
Not really. I mean, I think what this episode really showcases for me, because I've been talking about the backgrounds of a lot of the episodes as we've been going through it. This one appears to have, aside from the first episode, the most planning behind it. Mm-hmm. It started off with one person's idea for an Iran-Contra allegory, which I mean, the producers were like, no, we are not doing anything that controversial, not even close. Because, I mean, this is in 1988. This is literally the height of that being a major controversy.
So, not to sidetrack you, but I'm going to sidetrack you.
Great.
I've heard of the Iran-Contra thing, but I don't actually know what it is.
Oh, okay. It was okay. The shortest version of it is that the U.S. government was illegally selling weapons to a group called the Contras, who were attempting a government overthrow. And basically, it was like
of Iran.
I think so. Yeah, they were operating outside of Iran, but I think they might have done it like through Iran because they were doing it like through an intermediary.
Okay.
And the attempt was like 100% verified and like accepted by people in the very top of the Reagan administration. Quite possibly including Ronald Reagan himself. It's kind of inconceivable that he didn't know about it.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
there's no like proof.
Yeah. So he got off on it, and most of the people involved were pardoned. So you can thank former Attorney General William Barr for that, who was George H.W. Bush's Attorney General as well as Trump's. Yes, Barr is very big on the president has absolute authority, and I think that by law that authority should be defended. So it was actually his idea to suggest to George H.W. Bush to pardon these people, because he's like, well, the American government has more important things to deal with than like the minor like legal technicalities of whether or not this is something that we should be doing, which is a really fucked up attitude to have about things. But hey, that's American Republicans.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yes, they wanted to do an allegory to this because it was the height of it being a controversy. And the allegory did not go through. It was nixed by the producers. They were like, we're not doing anything that bad, but we like this conspiracy angle. So what can you give us on that? Because like it was a really short pitch, like less than a page, and the writer managed to turn it into a 30-page treatment, which he handed upstairs. Gene Roddenberry looked at it and said, I love this. Several of the major writers at the time looked at it and said, we love this, we want it to happen. Maurice Hurley didn't really want it to happen. He was not big on it, but everyone else was. So he ended up getting overruled, and they made the episode with a substantial amount of planning, and like they were very excited about making it, and you can see that when you're going through the episode, because
you can definitely tell.
Yeah, like this is an episode that has multiple hands in the writing of it, but they're all people who really wanted to bring like an exciting idea to it, and the original idea for it admittedly is supposed to be very, very dark. This is it being toned down.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
because I always wondered, like, how did they end up with like like, who made the decision about that whole Remick scene at the end?
I can
like,
I can tell you almost directly about that, actually. The Remick scene was not meant to be Remick. They were going to walk in there and Remick was going to be standing next to like a mother alien thing. And they decided after the scene had already been shot, no, let's redo this. And they brought the actor in to redo it. And they're like, yeah, let's redo this. Let's put the alien inside of him. And yeah, that ended up being even more fucked up than their original idea, to just walk in there and find like a mother alien.
Yeah, I just meant like how that scene ended up being so brutal.
Oh, I would love to know more about that. There isn't too much detail on it, but like they knew what they were doing, and they were really excited to bring something that
Upsetting.
I guess that consequential to the Star Trek universe, because like Star Trek up until this point, it hadn't seen outside of the films like a threat to the Federation at this level, where like, hey, there's some malevolent force out there that is like really bent on fucking things up. They had a lot of social commentary around it, but this has literally penetrated to the core of the Federation, and they had not done anything like that up until this point, so it was big. They did decide, as they were writing it, that Gene Roddenberry insisted on this: the Federation is perfect, no matter what. The people inside cannot be corrupted willingly. So it was a very conscious decision to make it aliens instead of the original plan, which was to be a faction within Starfleet, which, as you and I know, they did go back to much later on.
Yeah. Dory, I loved your prediction in that you were trying to put like some realistic logic into it. And I'm like, I bet you didn't think it was gonna be space worms in everyone's brain.
I mean, yeah, I couldn't have predicted what happened. I liked the episode minus the traumatizing scene at the end, except I know that this is now technically, I guess, the last episode is going to be continuation with the homing beacon thing. I assume, because if they just leave it there and they're like, oh, there's a homing beacon, then we can never address it again. That would be...
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, my God. They do, don't they? Oh, no.
It's actually never referred to again.
I thought this was definitely going to be a two-part... Oh, my God. And
okay, so Dory,
Yeah.
the original plan, it was actually added really late into the development, the ambiguous ending, because they wanted to leave it open-ended at that point, because the original plan for it was, they stop the thing, everything's done, and everyone's like, this is a little too, like, melancholy for us, because this is ending on, like, kind of a fucked up note.
It's a cliffhanger.
But isn't it more fucked up that there's like a homing beacon and they're coming?
Yeah, oh my God.
Yeah, but at least that fits with the tone of the episode, rather than like, well, everything's good now, because... I mean, let's face it, the tonal shift in this episode is very sudden, because it starts off as, like, almost a comedy.
Yeah.
It is clearly trying to put you at ease with some really amazing Data moments.
Oh, yeah. I wrote down Data's entire thing.
That whole bit is amazing at the beginning.
It racks up the tension fantastically, though.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, Dor. Unfortunately, this is, like, one of my biggest disappointments with the series, is that they never come back to this.
I'm honestly shocked. The way that it ended with like the beeping, I assumed, okay, they're getting us ready for the finale, which is when they have to like defeat whatever's coming to Earth, because they need to save Earth. And so I was like thinking, if this is a 2-part, I really would have wished that like there'd be more stakes within the crew. Like I was kind of hoping that actually Riker was infected, because then trying to save Riker would have been, more of like an emotional thing, because like then I was like, okay, if they're doing part 2, it would have been nice for that, but I guess they'll like work as a team or something. But I guess there is no part 2. Oh my God, I really thought that was a cliffhanger.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
That, I don't know what I'm most upset about now.
Yeah, the finale isn't really much of a finale. Like I don't think this era of television had like big season finales.
No, they didn't. It was uncommon at this point in time. At least this early in the series, it would be uncommon.
Yeah, exactly. But, like, it was still transitioning, because, like, in the 60s, like, TOS has no season finales, because their philosophy of television was that you should be able to watch episodes in any order. Like, they should all just... like, you shouldn't have to watch it in a specific order, because, like, then you can just play random episodes whenever.
It's easier to resell to people.
Yeah, easier to resell to people and that kind of thing. And because of the era of television, like with no no on-demand watching and stuff like that, it's like, it was hard to, like, keep up with a series, like, all the way through, you know? So you would only catch, like, random-ass episodes.
Oh, yeah. I guess they didn't have the, like, you know, I guess back at the originals, because, like, now it's easy to go back to an episode to see if you've missed something. But I guess back then it's harder to have something more that has, like, an overarching story, because there's nothing to, if you miss an episode, like, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was nothing to, like, go back to replay it.
Yeah, so early TNG was kind of in that, like, within that transition between that, like, philosophy of, like, you know, you should be able to watch every episode independent of every other episode, and between, like, the more kind of through line, which is what we have now.
I wouldn't say it was in the transitional period. It was still too early for that to happen. They were doing two-parters, but that was a way to get people to come back and watch after a break, and that was, like, a fairly new concept at the time, too. But, like, selling television episodes on VHS did not take off the way that they thought it would. It worked really well for movies, but collecting an entire television series ended up being, like, prohibitively expensive for most people.
Yeah, really expensive and really bulky.
Yeah, so people didn't really have that on-demand thing in quite the same way still. So when DS9 starts experimenting with serialization while still being fairly episodic for the most part, that was really an experiment in television at the time. And then, of course, by the time that we get to Enterprise in the early 2000s, it's selling a series on DVD for, you know, $30 or $40 has become completely, like, normalized. So they were free to explore by that point in time. But I'd say, like, mid to late 90s would be more like the transitional period, not late 80s.
Well, I like, that's... Like, it was a long transition. So, they're not doing serialized, but they are doing more two-parters. It's less of a thing to be like, every episode is its own encapsulated thing. Because there definitely is, like, some through line a little bit.
A little bit. It is very little of it, though. And the majority of it outside of two-parters, it's not like this episode is a direct sequel to another episode earlier or something like that.
It is, though.
There's still separate stories of which you don't need to have seen the original part of it in order to still get a good episode out of it.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't see how this isn't part of a transition. Because it's not the 60s.
No, I think I just disagree that this is part of the specific transitional period to the on-demand kind of attitude, because this was more of the changing landscape of television and how it was becoming increasingly more competitive through the massive growth of cable networks.
But the thing is, like, I'm not talking about on-demand specifically. Like, I'm talking
Oh,
about...
I thought you were. I'm sorry.
I was talking about serialization.
Okay.
Yeah, like, the fact that you can start to have, like, significant consequences between episodes, you know?
Right.
I just mentioned the on-demand thing to explain why it's so much easier now to sell a show where it's like, you have to watch every episode.
Yeah, it's almost mandatory at this point in time.
Yeah, well, I personally like it. I think it's much more interesting.
Oh, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell, like, much deeper, complex stories that way, because you have the time to explore everything.
Yes.
That's not to say, like, sometimes it is nice to just be able to watch, like, whatever random episode of something. But I do quite like where TV's at the moment.
Yeah, we're definitely in, like, a television golden age where we have a quality of writing and a quality of budget that we've never had before. And I don't know how long it's going to last, because in the end there is a correlation between how much you spend on a series and what kind of return you get. And supposedly for a lot of them, they are investing a lot more than they're getting in return directly from the series itself. There are exceptions to this, obviously, but in, I mean, something like Star Trek Discovery, where they dropped like $100 million on the first season alone.
Yeah.
That is a lot that is film budget money.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to pull in that kind of money for the series to be profitable, and that's just the first season.
Yeah.
And it's not the only series that's expensive, or that is that expensive. It's obviously not the norm for them to be quite that expensive, but Jesus Christ, like, how much was Breaking Bad per season? And that started, like, more than 10 years ago.
Or Game of Thrones.
That's a very good example, yeah.
I mean, I think also, like, TV is getting to be, like, a lot of, like, A-list movie stars have now moved to television.
Yes, very true.
It's just more, like, first person I think of is Reese Witherspoon. Huge movie star. And then she had Big Little Lies.
Yeah.
And that show was, I mean, I saw both seasons. I really liked the first one. Not a huge fan of the second season. But, like, that brought a whole other, like, dimension. Nicole Kidman was in that show, too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like, I
geez.
almost forgot about Nicole Kidman. She was incredible in that show. But, yeah, it's becoming TV now, I feel like, for the last couple of years, has been, like, so good that it entices movie stars, because I think it used to be like movie stars were, like, in terms of a hierarchy, movie stars were on top of television stars.
Yeah, they would move to TV when they couldn't get much in film anymore.
And now
Yeah.
it's like TV is like a whole different level of prestige, because the quality is just getting so good.
Yeah, if you get on a good show, you're like kind of set.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's also that just a certain standard has been set now. That, like, you know, people expect a certain quality from television now, and if you don't have that, you kind of, it's hard for you to compete. So
Yes.
it's almost like you have to dump all that money into it.
Wow. Yeah, I don't love that.
Yeah. The thing is like, if it leads to quality shows, then I enjoy, like, that. I mean, of course there's, like, you know, people blow a budget on, like, stupid shit or whatever, but I like that it's led to more quality art and entertainment.
I think from what I was talking about earlier about how the cost to return ratio is, like, kind of ridiculous. Things like Netflix, I believe, still haven't technically turned a profit.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where the market value of it is so inflated. People are, you know, making money from it, but the company itself is not becoming profitable. And I want to know if that's something that is just kind of a fact of capitalism now, where like venture capital is more important than actual value. Because if that's a bubble that is eventually going to burst, that means that they won't be able to afford to make shows of this quality anymore.
And Netflix TV shows is basically what it's got going for it. Like, the Netflix movies have not been great, but
Fair.
the TV shows have been freaking fantastic.
I mean, there's been a mixed bag, but yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't mean all
like
of them, but
anything there
I've
is.
found that I have liked way more of the TV shows than the movies.
I just mean that in terms of, like, the amount of good shows versus the amount of bad shows. I mean, like any production company, it's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. I think, like, you'll always have probably more bad than good, because making something good is really fucking hard,
Yes.
and frankly takes a lot of luck. Like,
Yeah.
like, all of us having been involved in, like, movie and TV production, it's a miracle any movie's good.
Yeah.
It's a miracle, like, any TV show is good. Like, there's there's so many people involved, there's so many steps, there's so many opinions, and, like, there's a lot that can go wrong.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's shows out there that I have seen that made me just want to curl up and go back to sleep, because it was written just so unbelievably poorly.
Yeah.
Like, dialogue that was just truly ridiculous. And, like, it's, like, upsetting that people were paid to write this.
It's also amazingly easy for a good script to be a bad show, to be a bad movie. It's very easy to turn a good script bad. So, which is unfortunate.
Yes, very accurate.
It's funny that it just needs to be, like, a perfect storm of a bunch of people who just work well together.
Exactly.
Because that's not, like, the most common thing.
Yeah.
Even it doesn't matter, like, how talented people are, if they don't mesh and you have different, like, and I think I've also learned that from throughout the season of this show, that you can have a bunch of different talented people in different things, but if they don't know how to work like well with each other, then you get like a clusterfuck of stuff that like doesn't make sense.
Yeah, exactly.
And doesn't work. So it's it's all about a perfect storm.
I absolutely love the tone of this episode.
Yes, me too.
I'm very intrigued by the mystery and the conspiracy and stuff.
It kind of felt like a political thriller.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of to me more than like a horror movie.
They really nailed the tension.
Yeah, I think it was just like a really, like you were saying before, like it was a very well like planned. Like you can tell, like it just. I think it's probably one of the smoothest episodes, if that makes sense.
Yes, I agree
that I've
with
seen
that.
so far. It just flows really nicely. Like this happens and this happens. Like it just keeps going, and there's consequences. I think this is one of the few episodes where like stuff happens in one scene that literally informs on the next. It's not just okay, this is gonna happen, then this is. It's like no, this happens because of this happens, and that happens because that happened. Mm-hmm. And it was well written and just put together well.
Yeah.
And well acted. I thought everybody was good in it. And I actually was like worried for Riker at one point. I was like,
yeah, me too.
Do I care for Riker now?
I wanted to bring up because that fake out is extremely well done.
Yes.
Yeah, I believed it.
Now, given I know that they like go out of their way to say, oh, the aliens are like purposely dramatic, which is like, okay, fine. But like let's bring Picard in here and eat worms in front of him with no plan thing, that's a decision.
Yeah, I'm just like, what was their plan? To just eat worms in front of him and then what?
Why did they want Dr. Crusher? They say that they wanted Beverly instead of Riker. Why? They never say why they wanted the doctor, other than just saying they wanted the doctor.
I don't know, because that's who they wanted to eat.
Yeah, I don't know.
Probably because the doctor can affect more people than Riker can.
Yeah, because then she's in a position to call people in for exams and stuff and then give them the worm.
But Picard is also that? I don't know.
Picard's the captain.
No, I know, but it just in terms of like infecting people, doesn't feel like Picard is best choice. I don't know. I guess in terms of power, yeah.
Yeah, but if you're gonna affect one and then not affect the second person, think of it this way: it's easy to find out that there's an alien there. They're not very well hidden.
Yeah, if Picard all of a sudden starts making like weird decisions, like people are gonna notice.
Yeah.
But if you infect the doctor, and then the doctor is in a perfect position to infect a whole lot of other people, including the senior officers, because she's a senior officer herself.
Oh yeah, okay, that's true.
Yeah, so that's how I would think of it.
She would be, what's it called?
Super spreader.
Oh yeah. I mean, but it's like it goes exactly against the like do no harm. Mm-hmm. Is that the Hippocratic Oath?
Yep.
Yeah, in essence.
She would be physically being like, hey, come in, let me infect you with a parasite.
Yeah.
Beverly, that kills people. Jeez, this was an intense episode.
Yeah.
That's a very good description of it.
Can we talk about the bit at the beginning with Data and Geordi?
Yes.
It's so fucking funny. It's so funny. Oh, my favorite part is when he almost goes to laugh again and then like just immediately goes straight-faced and sits back.
I actually wrote in my notes that Data laughing sounds like a sheep.
I would say that it was very humorous indeed.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Actually, Dory, can you review the scene for us for those listening who haven't seen it?
Okay, so Geordi has just said like a joke. I didn't write down what the end of the joke was, but then
it was
Data
like just try that in hyperspace or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. And then Data just like stares, and then he goes, "I see. So the difficulty in attaining such complex positioning in zero gravity environment, coupled with the adverse effects it would have on the psychological well-being of the average human male, is what makes this anecdote so amusing. Yes, very humorous indeed." And that hysterical, in fact. And then he laughs really creepy.
Yeah. Yeah, he goes like
he's like, ha, 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 ha. No, I'm not doing it well.
It's extremely forced.
Yeah. In my Netflix subtitle, it's just said forced laughter in brackets. It was upsetting.
Yeah, and just the sudden facial change was just amazing.
It was so good. Also, most of that is actually one sentence.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
like,
also-
he just does it in one go. And I had a hard time doing that in one go. And he would have had to be, like, acting and shit. And,
Yeah.
like, props to him. That it's a hard line, honestly.
What a dry burn of Geordi, too. Like,
Yeah, because then Jordy's just sort of sitting there, like,
like, you didn't have to dunk on me that hard.
yeah. Data has a couple of good parts.
Yes.
Yes,
Like, when
his
the...
cute little smile when Picard says, "I have something that requires your like unique skills."
And his thing with the computer is so
Yeah.
weird.
I love when even the computer tells him to shut up.
He's like, well, I am a computer, or
And then-
something like that. I didn't write down that line. But
And then afterwards, Data gives the computer a weird look.
yeah.
Also, this is the episode where Riker goes, increase to warp 6. And then Geordi replies, "Aye, sir.
Aye, sir. Full impulse."
Is that a
Yeah,
famous
I was
line?
gonna try to segue into that later, but
Oh,
that is
yeah.
my favorite moment of the episode because the fact that they kept it in,
I know.
even though they've re-edited the series, and it's like it's just a soundbite. You actually could have changed it, and I like it better that you didn't.
Yeah.
What does it mean? Like, what is the significance?
Well, he told them to increase the speed, and he increased it to not that speed at all.
Okay, so
Oh.
so to explain this, there's warp speed, right? Which is
Yeah.
the faster than light speed. And then there is what's called impulse, which is
Sublight.
sublight speeds. So it's faster than the speed of sound, but like obviously not as fast as the speed of light. So like Picard's saying go to warp 6, which is 6 times the speed of light.
It's more than that, but
Oh,
yeah.
is it? Yeah. Anyway, like a significant exponential factor of the speed of light.
Yes.
And then Geordi's like, "Okay, I'll go at at full impulse, which is like less than the speed of light."
Oh, okay.
It's like saying, okay, so to get there, we're gonna go on the 401, and you're just like, yep, sounds good. Let's take that road that's not 401.
the Dufferin.
No, no, it's more like, "All right, let's go 100 kilometers an hour," and you're like, "Cool, 5 kilometers an hour."
Oh, okay. I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's that's funny.
Yeah, I'm very glad that they kept that in.
Yes. I would have been sad if they fixed that with the
Yes.
remaster. Also, but when they were originally editing the episode, why didn't they fix that? Because it's not like they cut to that shot. It's just a voiceover.
They might have just missed it.
It's so immediate though.
Like it happens sometimes. There's other mistakes in TNG throughout the series.
Oh yeah.
And they're things that, just generally got missed.
Yeah.
And that's how it happens. I know there's several booms in the shot points in the series.
Actually, there's one boom that I know of that like I always remember distinctly, and it's in the Heart of Glory episode where Worf is talking to the Klingon commander, and they have that
yes.
they have that wide shot, and I looked for it, and I think they got rid of it in the remaster. I think they
That's too bad.
I think they like edited it out.
Oh, you know what I just remembered? In this episode, when Quinn is fighting Worf hits the back of the set and it moves.
Oh,
Yes, it does.
yeah. I love that, like, they really love people, like, tossing people over that table. Like, because
Yeah,
Riker
and-
and Worf both
Riker-
go over that table.
Yeah, that table gets a lot of screen time this episode.
Also, why in Star Trek do they constantly do that volleyball move? Like, where they have both hands clasped together and they, like, hit the other person that way.
That's a classic thing.
Yeah, instead of, like, doing human punches. Although that was always my favorite when Kirk did the like double fist down on someone's back.
Oh my god.
So when Quinn comes on the ship, Picard instantly is like, "Oh, something's not right." But they put once they leave Quinn and him and Riker are in the hallway, he just starts telling Riker that's like something's wrong. And he starts like spilling all his guts about all this confidential information in the hallway.
I don't think he does.
He's just talking. Yeah, no, he's like talking
Yeah,
about
he does.
Oh, okay.
all like, oh, like something's not right. That's not him. Like that's this,
I
blah,
thought
blah, blah.
I thought he waited
They're
until
in
they
the
got
hall.
into the transporter room to say all
No,
that.
they're in the hallway.
Oh, wait, no, they do go into a transporter room.
Yeah, they
No,
right.
I
There's
distinctly
other-
remember
there's
it.
other
He takes him
people.
around the hallway to do it.
No, because
There's other people in the shot.
No, because when they're in the hallway, right? Admiral Quinn goes to his quarters, and then Picard's
Yeah.
like, "Hey, come with me," and then they go into a transporter room, and then Picard starts telling him that stuff.
There are people still in the shot when he starts talking. Like, I'm pretty
there?
sure there's people in the background. Maybe they're on their way to the transporter room, but when he starts talking, they're still in the hallway because there's
Okay.
people behind, like, walking around. So I was like, you guys, discretion, please.
Yeah, they're not really good with like keeping things secret on this show.
Yeah.
They always like talk in front of people, like as if no one else can hear them.
Yeah, that was just sort of a thing. I think I do have a couple of favorite bits, though. Okay, I really liked this line. Data goes, when they're talking, like, they're like, how could this happen? That there's so many people, like, I don't even know what to call this. The infected or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Data goes, Starfleet's left hand did not know what its right hand was doing.
Yeah, that
I
was
really
amazing.
like that.
I love when Data just pulls out like idioms and stuff like for no reason.
Yeah. Oh, I did. So the part where like Picard is with the other two admirals and they're drinking from the tiniest little glasses.
Yeah.
I love those. I just thought those are the cutest glasses ever.
Yeah.
I'd love to get wasted on one of those glasses. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm not kidding, but they're really cute and dainty. Just to drink like heavy alcohol out of that would be very fun. I'm not an alcoholic, I promise. Okay. There's a part. So when Picard is speaking to Beverly, like when she's on the ship, he's in the thing on Earth, and she's like, "Set your phaser to kill." Picard goes, "Doctor, one does not beam down to Starfleet headquarters armed." It made me think of like that Dos Equis meme of like no, that's a different guy. Oh no, I'm thinking of the
Oh, of Lord of the Rings.
yeah, Sean Bean of like one does not walk into Mordor,
Simply
whatever.
walk into Mordor.
Yeah, Doctor, one does not simply beam down to Starfleet headquarters armed. Oh, okay. I did like this line. We got to see the live long and prosper hand thing.
Yeah.
I think is this our first Vulcan of the season?
No, we've seen a couple of others. This might be the first one in a speaking role that I can think of. No, sorry. This is the second in a speaking role.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I recognized I knew the ears.
The other Vulcan was in Coming of Age.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but the,
Oh yeah.
I don't know if they did the salute or not.
No, she didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got all excited. I was like, I know that one.
Yeah.
I recognize that.
I got
I've
that
seen a
reference.
Vulcan do a Vulcan.
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah.
I can do the live long and prosper thing with my hands.
Yeah, I can do it too. It's were you like Captain America, where you're just like, I got that reference.
Yeah. I was like, I understand who that is. There was a part that actually the Vulcan Savar goes, "Patience is one of our virtues, Captain. We didn't go after you. We allowed you to come after us." And then Aaron goes, "More dramatic that way, don't you think?" I like that.
Yeah, I like that too.
I feel like there's a lot of really good parts in this episode. I mean, we did talk about some like other really great stuff already, but those are just stuff we haven't that wasn't mentioned yet.
So on that note, we should get into predictions.
Oh boy.
So our season finale for season 1 of TNG is called The Neutral Zone. And your little hint is that we get to meet an 80s businessman, a Midwestern wife, a Southern hick, and the Romulans.
That's quite a it sounds like the setup of a joke. Okay. The neutral zone and then all of those people.
Yeah. Also, this episode is extremely preachy.
Oh no. And I also guess I should remember that this isn't like standard season finale thing. So like I shouldn't be thinking of like some crazy.
Yeah, as I don't remember exactly what happens, but as far as I remember, it's not very like bombastic or anything.
Okay,
It's
so I should...
This is not a spoiler. It's not bombastic at all. It is meant to hint towards something upcoming. However, it's not explicit about it.
Yeah.
And it's actually an almost inconsequential part of the actual episode.
What a shock. Inconsequential.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, I'm trying to think of my Star Trek tropes that we've already gone through, that we see often. Obviously, there's going to be a new planet, because God forbid we don't visit a new planet. Okay, I'm just going to say what popped into my head, but just popped into my head. It probably is, I know it's going to be wrong. It probably doesn't make any sense, but because of the different groups of people, I just pictured like a convention. So there's like... I guess they go to a planet to do something, but there's like maybe a science trip or something, but they're not going there to like help a race of... They're not going to help anybody, basically. Mm-hmm. It's just like some other kind of mission. And I'm sticking with my bad convention. Oh, okay. Maybe it's like a convention or display about like Earth, which is why they have those different kinds of people. So it'd be like a historical like exhibition. Oh, it's like Expo. Okay. For Earth over
Earth
the years.
Expo?
Or maybe Earth of the 21st century or the 20th century.
Yeah.
The 21st wouldn't make sense. The 20th century Earth exhibit. And maybe it gets disrupted by the Romulans, because we know they're kind of the villains-ish in this. And the team has to, you know, save everybody. It's just they have to save the roving Earth exhibit from the Romulans.
This is one of my favorite parts of the predictions, is just getting to see your mind work, because a lot of your ideas are really fun.
I'd watch those episodes.
Yeah. I also, Jeff and I also like coming up with the descriptions just to see how
accurate, yes.
how weird we can make the episode sound.
I feel like in the future, I think what I'm gonna have to do is sit down and write like a fan fiction version of a Star Trek episode. But I feel like I feel like I'd have to do like a full length one.
I actually did that for script writing class.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I think that's something I'll do in the future, not anytime soon. Mm-hmm. And then maybe we'll recruit some of our friends to perform it.
Yeah.
Once per season, we will do...
not that. No. Don't promise that. We're done this season. I'm not ready to write anything
Once
yet.
per season, we'll do the 27th episode of the season, and it will be Dory's entry.
Dory's episode.
But that sounds fun.
No.
I'd love to do a fan episode.
I think in the future I would be very down to write my own. Like once I don't think I'm getting there, because I'm getting used to like the tropes, and I'm just gonna write the most bizarre random one-off planet possible, and I'm gonna write what I would want to see in a Star Trek episode.
Nice.
And maybe after the second season or something, once I'm more secure in my footing and able to see, get like more of a solid sense of who all the characters are. Mm-hmm. So maybe after season 2, I'll write an episode.
All right. And then maybe we can do like a table read or something.
Yes, 100%. I think that would be really fun. I would volunteer to read the directions. I'm not an actor. I wouldn't read like... anybody who listens to this can tell whenever I read the lines, I'm like a robot. I'm basically part data at this point.
All right. So if you want to see if Dory's right, watch along with us, and we'll talk about it on the next episode of Fully Functional, a TNG podcast.
Goodbye.